I am at Juan Seguin Historic Park. This is right by the entrance of the ship channel. And for example, that ship named Lafayette Bay is coming through the port. Juan Seguin, he was a Texan. He was born in San Antonio. San Antonio, you have to understand that at the time, San Antonio was the viceroyal of Spain. Was a Spain, so he was a Spaniard, born in Texas. Mr. Seguin Juan Seguin was a very interesting fellow. His father wrote the 1840s Constitution of Mexico, and he actually fought on the Battle of San Jacinto and several other battles. Also, he participated on the Battle of Los Alamos, but not on the final attack of Santa Ana. He was in charge of leaving the church and going to seek help. So he actually left the church right before Santa Ana last attack. He also was here where that monument is, where Santa Ana surrendered to Houston. I believe he was a captain at the time. I'm not quite sure of that, but he was there on the surrendering ceremony of Santa Ana. Now, a lot of people are very confused and actually conditioned to believe the Battle of the Alamo was in between the Americans and Santa Ana, the Mexicans. But that is completely incorrect. The people who fought in the battle, or actually in all these battles of Texas independence, was Mexicans fighting Mexicans. It was a civil war, an internal war. Notice the Texas ship, the battleship Texas on the foreground. Is it right there? So the shout of "Remember Alamo" by Houston and Juan and all these people was not a shout of the United States of America. It was a shout of Mexicans. All these people down here, boom, and all these Houston, Arlington, all these people came into Spanish territories of Mexico at the time to work because they did not like the United States for some reason or another. So they actually were migrants into Mexico territories. Today we say they, for example, Mr. POTUS Trump saying the Mexicans are coming, they're a bunch of criminals and so on. The reality is they come into their own historic grounds. They are not none of so-called immigrants. They are the native, the true native. As a matter of fact, that Mr. Trump today is first generation Scots from Scotland. His mama and his father had no idea where he's from, Bavaria or something like that. And now he's claiming to be an American. He's just an immigrant. They got lucky to be born in this great country of the United States. Mr. Juan Seguin has ships named after him. He has a county named after him. Oh, I just reading out here, he was a lieutenant colonel. Hopefully you can read that. And after the, according to this, what I'm reading, after the Republic of Texas entered the United States, and I believe they did such a thing to get protection, military protection, because the Mexicans were really coming then. And so they decided to join the United States, and I think it was a good thing for us today, but also a bad thing because now we become, how can I say, they have removed the true identity of Texas. Or they are trying to do that. Now all they talk about is, we are English speaking country and so on, and that is no truth. As a matter of fact, the English, it was spoken in the Americas, but also with the native languages, and Spanish and French and German and so on. The revolutionaries, they were from all over the place. As a matter of fact, that without the French or the French government and the Spanish kingdom, the United States would not exist. All this about speaking English only and so on is utilized to divide us today. And it began in around 1903 with Mr. Ford, the guy who makes the car. He developed this strategy. He called it the melting pot to build cars, because they needed all these people from all over the world to have a common communication symbols to work on assembly lines. So he forced the government to pass laws to benefit him, the industrialists, and to this day we still have the same. As a matter of fact, that in 1903 in Colorado, Lula, Colorado, or Trinity, Colorado, was a massacre of people working on the mines, and that was the beginning of the United Mine Workers Union of the United States, the union movement. And that at the time, all these people spoke different languages. I mean, there were people from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Spain, everywhere, and they all work fine in the mines. And they go out there, Mr. I forgot the guy's name, Rockefeller, and slaughter them. How they did it? They utilized the government. They utilized the National Guard, the Colorado National Guard, controlled by the governor. So all these things happening today is an attempt to create something that never existed, and it's working, but eventually will collapse because it's not real. Because guys like Mr. Juan Seguin, Tejano. And then you got the same people in the Caribbean working with the Tejanos. That is why the Cuban flag, the Yara flag, and the Texas flags are so similar. The same as the Chilean flag, because they were created at the same time for the same reasons. And also they blame the Spaniards. The Spaniards actually controlled these massive lands with native people in it, and they never slaughtered them. They continue to maintain their own cultures. That is no truth. The Spanish slaughtered them. And now they're trying to remove Mr. Christopher Columbus from all the parks and so on. They destroying us. Who is doing it? I have no idea. But I believe the technologies or the industrialists working with the communication technologies, like NPR and PBS and Fox News, CBS, all these people, for some reason or another, they have clicked together, willingly or subliminally, or have no idea how, or maybe because they believe that is the new identity they must create, and they actually calling themselves white, and they calling themselves white nationalist. I mean, this is in Congress, the United States. This is no one go out there and say nothing. It's like Mr. Congressman of the United States another day told a Texan or a person born in this part of the country to go back to Puerto Rico as an offense. So that is where we really are right now. But we have to remember guys like Seguin, Juan Seguin, they fought and bled for this country. So do not remove your own identity, your true identity. Defend it. I think it should be people from all over the place. It doesn't matter your ethnic group or your race. Remember, there is a different thing. Ethnicity is the way you think, the way you speak, your friends, your community. And race is biology. It had nothing to do with the way you think. We have an airport nearby, and La Porte Airport, and if you notice, there is an airplane going into land. Now, I had no idea what just happened, but one tug disengaged, and another tug engaged the barge, and there is another one coming in. And this is everyday work, port operations in Houston. Texas shall be free and independent, or we shall perish in glorious battle. Juan Seguin, Spaniard. born in San Antonio, Texas. Viceroyalty of Spain, or Nueva España. Well, hopefully you enjoy this this video. And I like to make these videos because it helps people understand what the reality is, know what they trying to condition them to be. That is the U.S. Coast Guard overflying the ship channel. So come and visit this park. The park opens at 7 and closes at 9. And the park is, the name is San Juan Seguin. And our commissioner is Adrian Garcia. Saludos.